Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 17th annual Galletta's Greenhouse Go-Kart Classic on a cold and rainy Saturday, October 6, 2012. First time trial up, it will be Matt Stevens and his 33. Matt's first lap is a 15.83. Second lap is 15.66. Total time of 31.49. But we believe the time was a little too quick with that one. It was probably 15.83. Now here's Chris Stevens in his number 8. As all new sides, all new paneling for the Classic. The defending Classic champion from 2011. And the kart used to win it. And the motor. Chris has been saving this car all year, been driving his backup to 4 all year. First lap, 15.87. Right there, almost identical with Matt's last time. Round in turn 4, he gets a 16.25. A little slower on that one. You can see in the back turn, he got a little sideways. Now Melissa Stevens and her number 19. For 19 on the clock. Melissa's first time is a 16.43. Cold night, the motors are gonna love it. Spectators don't love it, but the motors do. Second time is a 16.49. The first lap being quicker will be the one she counts. And here's for the time trials goes in the order of the total points. And right here, maybe the rookie of the year, the DS Humphreys number 81, Dave Spandau. I keep messing up his name. Sorry about that. Spandau. His starter car is the DS Humphreys 81. He also purchased the former Tim Galletta 54. But he is starting a lot of these guys have a backup car. Believe it or not, the frame on this car is identical to Matt's number 3, but it was elongated for Dave because he's a lot taller than that. First lap for Dave was a 16.56. It was the same yard cart, same Manco yard cart that Matt's number 3 was, but it's built quite differently. Ooh, he goes off the track, but recovers and actually beats his time, gets a 16.49. So Dave fell off the track a little bit and still wound up beating his time. Here is a brand new machine. Ryan Galletta dropped $1,000 on this thing get it done by Klassic, and he did just get it done for Klassic. Brian Galletta, number 13. Looks like a super modified wing out there. He put a lot of time into that. It's really sharp. Brian Galletta trying to match his front row time trial that he had in 2003. Put his car on the front line. First lap for Brian, a 16:14. That one will not get the front row. See if he can quicken the pace for the second one. That time trial did start very quick in the practice session. And so does Brian. Brian gets a 1586. That will net him a front row right now. He's on the front row as we speak with the top guns all going, so he's looking good. Here's Eric Walworth in his also brand new car. Finished just in time for Klassic as well. The 78 for 7 or 8 different owners. This is the car that Gary Miller had sitting on the side of the greenhouse for about a good 5 years until someone finally bought it. Billy Ruggio bought it from Gary. Gary originally gave it to the club. And but then Gary sold it to Billy. It was going to be Joe's. Big convoluted story, but Eric lines up with it, buys a brand new motor on eBay, and they build it just in time for Klassic. His first time was 16:59 for the 78 of Eric Walworth. Second time for Eric was a 16:33. That is the quicker of his 2 times. And here is Joseph Serino. Mr. Popeye forearmed himself in the Galletta's greenhouse, number 5. That number 5 has been fast all year. Joe's won a bunch of features in it, and Chris won one as well. It's fast and loose car. It won the 2000 and 2001 Classics with Chris behind the wheel. Obviously, it's been rebuilt and has a different motor, but the chassis. Joe had a 1638. And we had a clock malfunction, but we will count him at a 16:55 there. See, we had to wind up giving him another lap. But he gets a 16:38 and a 16:55 for that session. Adam J. Lytle. And the former Gary Miller 24, now it's the Lytle 33C. It's a smoky motor. It's a fairly worn motor, and it does pop smoke. Maybe Lytle will get a new motor for next year, refresh it or something, but it's not a strong motor. It's been, I believe it is the same motor that Gary had for many years. Actually was not in the Classic last year. It was for sale down in Oswego for a good year and finally sold that to Adam. Car is really rough on front bearings for some reason. It always breaks front bearings. The first lap for Adam was a 16:92. And the second lap was not, we had all kinds of clock malfunctions, and he was not on the clock for that second lap, but he's okay with a 16:92. He just wanted to get the race underway. We messed it, we were talking about it there, we messed it up. He could have went back out and got a second time, but he elected to take his first time. And here is Billy Ruggio. Ruggio in his number 02. This car used to be the old Nick Dan 02. Then it was the Nick Dan 68. Then it was sold to AJ Nason, who then lended it to the club. Then last year's Classic was driven by Kyle Reuter, 35. And this year it was purchased by Billy Ruggio. Was given it a very bright color scheme, bright blue and bright green. Really stands out. Ruggio is always fast, but has a tendency to spin. His first time was a 16:91. Second time coming for Billy, that is a 16:80. Was his second time. Here comes Rapid Randy Bobandy Platt in the Bobandinator Platinum Platitude Murder 187 bitch car. They had some extra artwork with Randy being sodomized by a rather large black individual, which explains what he does when he misses a race. So he definitely did not want to miss the Classic. He actually postponed a hunting trip to race with us today, so that's a good thing. Caution come out because Wesley James, Troger Stevens, Crack, Hawkeye flag person noticed that his fuel cap was not on tight and he was spewing fuel out. So here he goes, tries again. Randy Platt on the clock now. Wait a minute now, we'll just give him an extra warm-up lap, I think. Wesley James very inconsistent with these time trials. And there's the green flag for the Murder 187. Blew a motor last year after the Classic, and he's actually got a rental motor from Matt. He bought a motor and actually didn't pay for the motor, so it's now Matt's. Used to be Chris's. Chris traded for a billet rod in his 8. Randy's first lap was a 16:18. Second lap is a 16:22. 32:40 total. Here comes Joe Buskey, no relation to the Busket case that went loony bin on us there the week before Joe Buskey's arrival. He's had experience with in Fulton Speedway driving street tire. Oh, and the tire goes bye-bye for Joe in the Galletta's number 9. Let's look at that one again. And the tire falls off and goes for a ride. Luckily, it hit a tree in there. Otherwise, we would have lost it. And it's a good thing he wasn't totally up to speed, too. You can pivot and flip very easily when that happens. And here's Joseph Serino's makeup contract. Wind picking up for him. His second time was not on the charts. We were having a lot of difficulties with the stopwatch. There's always something every year that goes wrong. And Joe was getting some extra time in. Last year we messed up Kelly's time. This year we messed up Joe's and Adam's. And that one, I believe, is the one where you got a 16:55, if I'm not mistaken. The wind really kicking up here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the coldest and definitely the latest Classic we've ever run. Here comes Kyle Reuter in the Galletta's Greenhouse #1, the kart that he led a good 100, 102 laps with in the 2010 Classic. It then gave out on him. He hopped in the 0 and come back for a improbable come from behind victory, which he called his most fun career win. He had more fun winning that one than any of his, and he's won a lot of races, quarter midgets and methanol karts, but he had a lot of fun with that one. And I don't know, I think we might have had a timing error with Kyle too. Oh no, that's right, something locked up on Kyle's car. So he only was on the clock for one time, that was a 16:28. And here is the former Larry Phillips and Kenny Lindsley kart. It is now Billy Ruggio's backup. It's, I guess it's the 02B. He's got 02 and 02B, and this is the 02B. This one smokes as well. It's got a fairly worn motor. Former Thunder Island frame, rebuilt multiple times by Larry. Oh, and his throttle cable broke on him. So his backup's got no time. No time recorded for his backup. This is the second round of time trials, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever back up, time it. Here's Brian Galletta's former starting car, the number 28 now. It is his backup. A little loose in the back turn. Wow. The former Platinum number 28 become the Team Take It 287 when Brian bought it from Randy. And had some wild rides in its first year. Into the Woods one, and then flipping and violating Brian late in the year before Classic last year. Brian become the first man sodomized on the track last year by a go-kart. Hopefully by anything but a go-kart. For sure, that was Brian's times were 16:27 and 16:28. So he's a little quicker in his 13. He's electing to go with it. Now here comes Joe Bosky getting his time in now that he got his left front tire tightened back on. A little loose, like I said, he has some prior racing experience, Fulton Speedway, street stocks, I believe, is what he said he raced. He might have raced other things too, but I think I recall him racing those. Usually people with prior racing experience do fare better in the early going than people with no racing experience at Gladys. Every once in a while you'll have someone that picks it up real quick with no prior experience, but those are rare. He learned the high groove. He got one race in earlier this year and learned the high groove is the best one. So that was in the Gladys number 9. Here is the D.S. Humphreys 54. Former Tim Galletta 54, and before that it was Dick Dan 86. So that kart has been musical chair. Felder and the 54 this time. It probably is a more dependable car than his starter number 81 because it has been battle tested. It's been racing on the track for many years. Seems like every owner who has had it has had a hard time getting the handling down just right. Something about it makes it a little squirrely with the handling. And none of the owners have ever been happy with the handling. It is a nice looking car. Dave's first time was a 1695 in that kart. The second time was in 1876 there. I don't know, he got loose or something happened there. He slowed up a lot in the back end. And Kyle Reuter is now trying the Galletta Greenhouse number 2. He looks a lot quicker in this than the 1. The 2 is a quick car that often goes, oh wow, jeez. Kyle was moving so quick, he caught Dave before he could exit the track. This kart actually has a Classic win under its belt. Chris Stevens won the 1999 Classic with it. It was since destroyed by Fred Collins and multiple other people flipping it. And Tom Culleton used to flip it all the time. Several drivers used to demolish it. Then it was rebuilt in 2008, and since then it's been a rocket. And it's won multiple features. Jason Mills, Randy Platt, and a few others, I believe, won. Kyle's first time is a 1647. That's a good time. And his second time was a 1656. He was actually quicker in the 1, but that's not necessarily the kart being quicker. The track slowed up on everyone. Track was quicker. This is why we go in the order of total points for the time trials for our Classic. We handicap the carts all year, but for the Classic, we reward the total points and the fastest cars. And here's Joe Serino. He will qualify the 6. Something fell off the back of him. He'll qualify the Galletta 6 as a backup. Although he doesn't really like the kart. It's a very loose kart. Matt wound up winning the pre-Classic fall tune-up race, which wasn't really a technical race. I guess it counted as a fall heat, but it wasn't a full race. And won that race in it, although it kind of fell to his lap. Is the race usually doesn't. Joe's first time in the 6 was a 1701. The 6 lost some rather nice panels. Lost them via many wrecks. 1662 for Dave's second time, and here comes Matt Stevens now. He had to do an emergency work on this kart. Something, the carburetor or the gas tank or something was leaking. Something went wrong on it. Matt wanted to time trial this kart first, but he had to work on it, so he elected the time trial last overall. And the Galletta Greenhouse number 3, which Matt intends to race in the Classic here. Trusty old number 3, the very first Galletta's go-kart. First time was a 1645. Kart's been rebuilt many times from a Manco yard kart. It was formerly owned by Dave Scruton, who was friends with Chris and Matt from Minetto Elementary School. Matt's second time was a 1630. Oh, we had another kart. I Thought we were done. Oh, it's yours truly, Chris Stevens in the 4. Qualifying is back up. We will start the 8, and the 4 will be his backup if it's needed. Chris has all 3 timeouts to use this race. Everyone earns timeouts during the season. The longer you race, the full year, you'll get 3 timeouts to use all year and the Classic. And Chris didn't use any all year. Matt used 1. Most of the drivers at the track used 1 or 2, but nobody used all their timeouts except for disqualified Busky because had all of his canceled out because he sucked. Both the 4 and the 8 are good carts. 1649 for Chris's first time, and 1637 for his second. And the Galletta's number 4. Here is Melissa Gable Stevens, who's back up for number 80. Again, this cart is a clone of Matt's 33, except it has a little bit of different outer bars, but you can never quite get it down to the same handling as Matt's 33, even though it's a virtual clone of it. Melissa's first time is a 1656, which is pretty good, pretty consistent, considering that many carts have time trialed in between her first attempt and this one. Well, it's the second time, it's a 1679. Might have, yeah. And the 17th annual Classic will begin.